You're good there?
Okay.
I can see.
Right. You can see.
Yeah.
We should be live. Hello. If there is someone in the chat, I think I do see someone in the chat. If you could just confirm that you can see and hear us, that we know we're live. But I think we're good to go. Hello, Isabella.
Hello.
And hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today. We have another exciting community connections, a very special community connections for us. We have a couple guests that we're going to introduce in a second. But with a few introductions from ourselves. Again, welcome to the Elixir Kitchen, part of the Cancer Rehabilitation and Survivorship Program at the Princess Margaret Cancer Center. My name is Jeremy Capone. I am the wellness chef. I'm joined as always by the amazing Daniela Berini. Hello.
Hello, Jeremy. I love how he says my name, that Italian accent, right?
Of course.
Yes, welcome everyone. It's a very special one today. It's also our April, can you believe it? Springtime. I don't know where you are, but it's sunny here.
Is it?
It's sunny outside. It's a little bit cold.
Yeah.
It's a little bit cold, but no snow
Okay.
So that's good.
Right.
That's
Welcome
good.
change for April.
Yeah. Do you want to introduce our
absolutely.
guests?
Yeah,
And
so-
then we'll...
Special class today. We have two special guests. These two amazing Culinary Nutrition Management students from George Brown College. They are two of my students that are completing their externship/internship here with us at Cancer Rehab and Survivorship with our Elixir Kitchen program. And I'm going to introduce them in a second. They will be taking you through 3 delicious recipes that they have prepared, all around simple, nutritious, or comfort cooking.
Healthy twist on favorite foods.
Love it. Healthy twist on favorite foods. And some new recipes for me, some new ingredients. So I'm really, really excited to share these recipes with you. And I know that they're probably anxious to get up here as well. So again, big round of applause for our amazing guests to start off.
Join us.
Yeah, Shima. We're going to go Shima to start off with the first recipe.
Hi everyone and welcome to today's class. My name is Shima and I'm very excited to share one of my delicious appetizer recipe from my hometown. I'm from Iran.
Yeah. I'm very excited for this recipe. When you mentioned it, my palate was already watering. So I'm very excited to see how it comes together.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Are we going to jump into the recipe or
Yeah.
introduce Kobe as well?
Kobe's waiting. He's got a couple
he's going to
recipes,
wait.
so we're going to introduce him in a second. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we'll jump into that.
So let's get started. For this dish, I want to use pomegranate molasses. That is a thick, dark, tangy flavor that is come from boiling pomegranate juice. And you can find that pomegranate molasses in every grocery stores. Yes?
Yeah. Well, because my medication told me to avoid pomegranate.
Oh.
So what should I replace it with?
What about pomegranate juice?
Anything.
Anything
pomegranate,
really.
Yeah, so what can we
Yeah.
replace instead for like that tangy, sweet and sour flavor?
You can use lemon juice and a little bit of honey. I think that's a good option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll just repeat that for people at home because
Mhm.
it is actually one of the points that I had. And there are some foods, yes, and pomegranate kind of falls in the same realm as grapefruit in that it can interact with some of the medications that people are getting with treatment, and so they do have to avoid it. So the question was, what can we use instead of pomegranate? And your answer was
Yeah.
lemon juice
Yeah,
and
lemon
a little
juice.
bit of honey.
A little bit
A little
of
bit of honey
honey.
to
Yeah.
get that
Yeah.
mix.
Yeah. Because the taste of the pomegranate molasses is, you can find that in international section of every grocery stores like Farm Boy or anyone. But in case if you can't find them, you can mix pomegranate juice with honey and a little bit of lemon juice. I chose this dish because that is very nutritious, very delicious, and also easy to make. Appetizer or side dish that is originally from north of the Iran, which is my hometown. Yeah.
Did you pronounce it yet? Did you say the name of it?
No,
Okay, all right.
I want to pronounce
Okay,
that. They call that zeytun parvarde or marinated olives. I know this is so hard to pronounce that.
I'm going to
try.
try.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So zeytun parade.
Yeah.
Zeytun
that's
parade.
good. Yeah.
We're going to practice.
Yeah.
Parade. Zeytun parade. Okay, and that's marinated olives.
Marinated olives, yeah.
With fresh mint and cilantro.
And cilantro.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
For this dish, I use pitted green olives, but you can find black olives or any kind of olives. If that is more oily, that become better. So let's jump to the recipe. Yeah.
I have a fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm a dietitian, but I didn't really know this. Did you know that olives are stone fruits? They fall into the stone fruit family? Yeah? Yes?
I guess it makes sense because of the pits.
Exactly, like mangoes, cherries, and peaches. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
So that's my fun fact.
Even just the fact that it's a fruit is could be
right?
surprising too.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's like avocado, maybe the fat in it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So you're starting off with the walnuts. So walnuts are a key component, I guess, to this dish.
Exactly, the key component, and also you can grind the walnuts into the food processor, but yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
So we'll reveal a little bit of behind the scenes. So Shima suggested yes, use a food processor or like a mini food chopper.
Yeah.
Like this, right? If you have one of these at home, great way because you're trying to get it pretty fine.
Pretty fine, exactly,
right?
Yeah.
So this would be easier. Because Shima was one of my past students, I don't know, okay, you know what, maybe someone from the college is watching, so we better show them how to do it with the knife. Right? Would you actually do a fantastic
You're doing an awesome job.
Great job, yeah.
Do we have
maybe because I was one
to
of her
do a
teachers.
close-up?
Yeah, of course, yeah, I've got it for sure.
We're going to get a
So you can use a food processor. So your food processor. If you're not super comfortable with your knife, that's probably an easier way to go about it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I like your technique. So go back to chopping. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So this is what we would call sort of a rock chop. The reason I like it is because not only is Shima able to go over her ingredients pretty easily, but notice her other hand is in a safe proximity to the blade of the knife. So one hand is holding the handle, the other hand is resting on top of the back of the knife. That way, as she's going through comfortably, she is not at risk of cutting herself. So especially if you're not super comfortable with cutting, I think that's a wonderful technique.
Yeah. And I also yesterday I used this technique for my garlic and parsley and cilantro. This is very safe technique.
Yes, great. Yes, for herbs as well.
Yeah, for this dish, you just need one big bowl to mix everything together. This is so easy.
What I like about it, it's a no-cook recipe.
No-cook
right?
recipe, vegan, no-cook.
You're just sort of assembling.
Yeah.
And we heard from our audience members already, right? Wink, wink, that some of them aren't really interested in cooking. So assembly might work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can buy walnuts already chopped, which might be a little bit easier too. You are looking for a little bit finer like you have here.
Yeah.
But I guess even if it's a little coarser, that would still be okay?
It's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
Right.
So now I'm going to add my olives in there.
Now you chose green olives. Is it
Green
traditionally used?
Traditionally, we use green olives, but it was so large. I chopped them a little bit to small pieces.
Okay.
I think that's better.
Can you use other olives? for this dish?
Yeah. But the green olives, the taste is better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shima will
I
find you.
prefer green olives. But
Yes.
you can.
There was a
Yes.
question.
I actually, one of the questions Jeremy already asked, like there's two different olives, right? Usually, eat that one with a pasta. So you said it's the green one tastes better. Okay, I got that. And how about the walnuts? So what if I don't have walnuts? What else? Or can I replace it with some other nuts? And what kind of nuts I should replace it?
So the question is, if you don't have walnuts,
Yeah.
what for everyone at home? What other nuts can you use instead?
If you don't have any walnuts, you can use cashew, pine nuts, and other kind of nuts. But for the pistachio, I don't think so. The good option is pine nut or cashew. I think, and also the almond. The good option to change the recipe. And also I add olives in there, garlic, mashed garlic. But you can buy any kind of mashed garlic in the stores.
So
I can smell
yeah, I was gonna say.
Were you gonna say
really
that?
smell the garlic. Yeah. So my mouth is watering. You mentioned before too, but maybe Daniela could speak to us as well, because of all of these sort of like sweet and sour and tangy flavors. For someone who maybe has loss of appetite or taste changes, it is something to help stimulate.
That's very good option for those who lose their appetite, because this appetizer is sweet and sour and tangy. I remember that when I was a child, me and my mother we made that in the kitchen, and I really like olives. I ate all of them during the process. It was very funny.
So then the zeytun parate.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Going back to zeytun. What is
that means olive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then your zeytun parate was missing the zeytun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I'm gonna add chopped cilantro and mint.
So really nice fresh
Yeah,
flavors
so
here.
fresh, yeah.
Now I know that not everyone is a big fan of cilantro. We've had people in our class that's very outspoken about it, which is absolutely okay. But what can you use if you have cilantro or you don't like cilantro? What are some other fresh herbs that you would suggest?
Parsley,
Okay.
chives.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just we need more flavor. In my hometown in Iran, we use another kind of spice that names golpar.
Gualpar?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't have here in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Even at some of the Persian grocery stores, they wouldn't.
In Persian stores, yes, you
okay.
can find that.
Okay.
But in other stores, no.
They probably won't find.
No.
Okay, so I know we were talking about it earlier. If you want to find some of these really nice sort of Persian ingredients, what are some stores you would suggest? I think we talked about, was Adonis might have?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. In the downtown, you can find that in the Arzan supermarket.
Arzan, okay.
That is a very good Persian supermarket.
Okay.
Or other Persian supermarket. But yeah, it doesn't matter you have golpar or not. You can use fresh herbs, a little bit of lemon juice.
So both the olives and the walnuts are adding some wonderful healthy fats, which is important and also part of looking at our cancer risk reduction types of diets. We want to move more towards the healthier fats, and olives are a great choice for that. So are the walnuts. The walnuts are also giving us some protein. And interestingly enough, the walnuts also, if we talk a lot about omega-3 fatty acids, and we talk about omega-3 fatty acids in fish and how it can be anti-inflammatory, but if you don't eat fish, walnuts is actually a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, so that's one way of getting it into.
Interesting. And also I'm going to add my pomegranate molasses.
And like we said, if you cannot have the pomegranate molasses, you can have a mix of lemon juice with the honey
and pomegranate juice.
Oh yeah, but if you
can't
cannot,
have
yeah.
juice.
If
Oh
you
yeah,
cannot,
yeah. If you cannot, just honey and lemon juice. Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if you add even maybe like a touch of cranberry
Oh,
to that as well to almost get that color.
Yeah.
You'll get that
That's
tartness
good. Yeah,
too,
exactly.
right? A little
Yeah,
bit. So
yeah.
if you can't have pomegranate, maybe a little bit of
A
that.
little bit of cranberry, yeah. Would you please give me the olive oil?
Of
Yeah.
course.
And also black pepper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
chef.
you must work. Yes, chef.
Yeah.
Yes, that's good. I'm glad he said that.
The exact amount of the pomegranate molasses, I'm gonna add the olive oil, extra virgin olive oil.
So I see that you measure like Jeremy
Yeah,
measures.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
The rest of us might measure with a teaspoon. Was that part of schooling as well?
No,
Yeah.
not that. Maybe we shouldn't say that in case anyone's watching. No,
Oh.
but what I would say is what I love about this recipe too, and I think a lot of the recipes, like you mentioned, Shima, that you remember making this with your mom.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
doubt your mom was probably measuring it. I know when I was learning, when I was young, from my grandmother and my mom, no one was measuring these ingredients. And that's what I love about a recipe like this. It is very accessible. You can just sort of add and go and taste and then adjust as you need. We do have the measurements there for you as a guide, just so you can lean on it. But otherwise, it's a very easy recipe.
Yeah, that's so easy.
I'm just teasing. I'm just the same way. Same way in my family too. So yeah.
So I don't add any salt in there because olive concert already have lots of salts in there. So I avoid to add too much salt. I just add a little bit of black pepper. And that's it.
That's
so
it for
easy, and also that's so delicious.
Oh, it smells really good.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. In Persian, we use that as a side dish with kebab or fish. But like today, I'm gonna serve with a chunk of roasted bread. You can serve that just after you make that. But if you wanna give more flavor and come together, you can rest it overnight in the fridge. Yeah.
I'm sure this would be great if you made like a bigger batch and then had it over the next few days in the fridge.
Yeah.
Right? Add
Exactly.
to, if it's grilled proteins or some bread or even like with a little bit of, as a simple mix. Okay, I'm probably butchering the recipe, but I would even imagine this with like some tuna on there, like a can of tuna on there, like to sort of mix it through. Would give it such a nice flavor.
I like that idea because if we go back to talking about taste changes or appetite changes, if we are able to store this in the fridge for a little bit, a couple of days,
I would say 3 to 4
days, then putting on other foods, experimenting with other foods might give you that burst of flavor and some healthy nutrients. So that's a good thing to try. And it's easy, right?
Beautiful.
Any questions from the audience? From the
No,
virtual?
just someone typed in zaytuna. Is that something Persian, zaytuna?
I think,
Okay.
Zaytun is Persian.
Okay, and that sounds good. Any other questions? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Well, because I find out when I buy walnuts, they kind of like, they didn't turn back, but they smell oily after a while. Is there a trick to avoid that?
Yeah, so nut seeds, they have natural fats in them. At room temperature, over time, those fats will go rancid, and that's where they'll have that really pungent aroma. Walnuts, it happens a little bit quicker than some of your other seeds and nuts. I don't know if you have a trick as well, Shima, but for me, if I know I'm going to store it for a longer amount of time, I will put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer. And I keep them in the freezer because they stay fresher a lot longer, and then I can easily add them to my dishes as I need. but that way it sort of really minimizes the rate at which it would go spoil or go red too. Yeah.
That looks awesome the way you presented it too.
Zooming in.
That's the other thing too. Sometimes when you don't have an appetite, you kind of go for that visual appeal. So the way you presented it looks beautiful.
I love it. Wonderful. Shima, again, the name of the recipe.
Zeytun parade.
Zeytun parade. Thank you, Shima.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Beautiful. All right.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Everyone's going to get to try it after, obviously. We're going to put this away, tidy up a bit. And as I'm putting this away, we're going to introduce our next student. Yeah, you can hang out for a bit. My other amazing student, Kobe John. Going in the fridge, which is good. We'll move
this out of the way here.
So that's recipe number 1.
You don't need this. Quick change.
Yeah, we had to put the extra extension on the tripod today.
And I wore my heels.
Yeah.
Not that it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome, everyone. So my name is Kobe. The dish I'm going to be showing you guys today, it's a little spin on a pasta dish my mom used to make growing up. I'm the youngest of 3 boys. As you can probably imagine, that's a lot to feed. So her goal was trying to basically make something, largest amount of volume to feed us so we would stop bothering her to eat, stop asking to go to McDonald's. So the first thing we're going to start with, is we're using turkey as our protein. Typically when my mom did this, she used to just buy sausages, just local supermarket, cut them open from the casing and do that there. Daniela, I know, has a lot of fun facts about turkey and switching over from turkey from our red meat.
That's what dietitians do. We have fun facts about turkey. Yes, and that's right. So would you call this recipe turkey, tomato, and spinach pasta, or does it have
there's no traditional name. It was kind of like a one-pot pasta dish. Like even when it comes to the noodles, it was whatever's cheapest, whatever's in the pantry. You can do it with penne noodles, you can do it with farfalla, you can do it with whatever kind of noodle works. It's just kind of size-wise,
So that's what's great about it is that, we know that reducing our intake of red meat is one of the cancer risk reduction recommendations. And so is this usually with, you said sausage?
Yeah, usually with sausage, yeah.
So replacing it with the beef, with the turkey is a great way to reduce your intake of the red meat, but still get the protein your body needs. Because we know that with cancer and cancer treatment, you need more protein. So with reducing the red meat, we want to replace it with something else that is also a good protein source. So that's wonderful.
So all we're doing is just getting it to medium-high heat. Just threw in a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Jeremy's just assisting me here. He's throwing in the turkey. The one thing to note about turkey, because it is a little bit leaner as compared to like a red meat, it doesn't have as high of a fat content. So the main thing we want to focus on is keeping and maintaining the moisture, which is why we have the olive oil. The next thing that we're going to add in once it starts to cook a little bit is some tomato paste. So the thing with tomato paste, one thing that Jeremy kind of drives home with school is like getting all those flavors. And there's a certain one that we get a lot of from tomatoes, which is umami. Tomato paste, typically, I recently found out you can get it in a tube. I've been buying it in the little cans and struggling with the can opener to open it, and then not knowing to do the rest of it. But most grocery stores have it in a tube. It's a lot easier to use. So we typically add about a tablespoon, teaspoon, somewhere in between of tomato paste. It's going to add a lot more flavor, umami, also help with the color as well and the caramelization of whatever protein source you end up using for the dish.
We're adding it now?
In like about a minute or so.
How many are familiar with the tube-based? Yeah, you are. Because you watched our segments, or you just knew about it?
I've cooked for a very long period of time, and I used to live in Europe, and that was the only way you could get it.
Oh.
That's the
very common
only way to get it in Europe.
Interesting. When I came back to Canada, couldn't get it in food. I used to, when people would come and visit,
bring you some tomatoes, okay. So we have one member in the audience who is quite familiar with the tube from Europe and would get her friends to smuggle some back for her.
Before it was period,
Sorry to interrupt.
No worries. And then, so one of the things we're going to add in, which you see in the recipe, is spinach. Today we're actually using frozen spinach. And contrary to popular belief, Daniela has taught me a lot about this, and we learned a lot about it in school with frozen vegetables as compared to fresh. I know a lot of people, there's a stigma around thinking one's better than the other.
Yeah, there's that stigma that people think you always have to go fresh, and sometimes that's a barrier, especially if you're tired or fatigued, to increase your intake of fruits and vegetables. So right now, when it's flash frozen at peak of nutrition, and it locks in the nutrition. So they've done some research, and they found that it's pretty well the same, the frozen, the nutrients in the frozen and in the fresh. So you can use both. Yeah.
And the one thing I like with the convenience of the frozen spinach, don't have to wash it, don't have to cut it. It just comes in like a frozen square. Throw it in the fridge the night before or even the day of, let it thaw a little bit, and then just with my hands, just kind of break it apart. Kind of works together. If we want to look back over here, as you can see, we start to get some color on our turkey. So now we can add in the tomato paste, just kind of get a little squeeze in there.
I like that Jeremy's your assistant.
Absolutely.
Yes, roles are reversed for once.
Absolutely. We're learning and teaching at the same time. Speaking of this turkey, a little tip to get that caramelization. I know Kobe knows this. Anytime you're using ground mince, turkey, using beef, using chicken, you want to spread it around the pan. And I would suggest, as nothing too heavy, but the largest pan you have, so that you have more surface area. By creating space like this, you can see here, I'm going to maximize that sort of caramelization. We call the Maillard reaction. Yes. So by allowing it to have that steam in the water inside the mince evaporate quickly, that Maillard reaction, that caramelization is going to happen a little bit quicker. So you can already see, it's a little bit harder here, but I'm already starting to see some color on here. And I am trying to spread it out as much as possible, flatten it out as much as possible, and really not being tempted to scrape it off of the pan too quickly, right? Which I will do now.
Yeah. All right. And then if you just get a moment to flip the camera for me.
Yeah.
So one of the ingredients that we're going to be using, which is our aromatics, which is onions. In regards to this dish, any onion works. Yellow, white, red, shallots even are all okay. Just kind of whatever you have available. When it comes to preparing this dish, the one thing I really like, similar to how Jeremy and Shima mentioned, when it comes to watching, your parent or grandparent cook, there wasn't really a lot of measurements kind of being done. I've watched my mom bake bread to making this dish. She doesn't measure anything. It's just all thrown into a pot. So when it comes to onions, you can kind of go based on flavor, how much you kind of want. One thing I really like when it comes to preparing it and adding it to the dish, you kind of cut it to whatever you want to go for. I'm someone who's really big on mouthfeel when it comes to foods. So having different textures, different sizes is really good to kind of make the dish feel like it's not the same thing over and over again. So just took my onion, it's already cut in half. I literally do a little claw method. I like to just kind of cut it so we have long strips, nothing too uniform, just whatever is easiest and simple. Allows me to get as close to the root and have as little waste as possible.
I'm missing my
Chloe was too quick. I know.
Perfect.
Director Daniela is like screaming for shot 2. I'm behind him.
Yeah, so we just kind of cut it. So it's just into little strips. Again, nothing too crazy, too uniform. We want kind of that rustic feel. It's all kind of going to be in one pot. And so once we have our turkey cooked off, we're going to add in our onions.
And I like that you chop some of them ahead of time. Because, we go back to that 10-minute rule we have for garlic, and we also have it for onions, right? So we want to have that antioxidant allicin, our favorite antioxidant allicin, develop. And it takes 10 minutes from when it's chopped for the enzyme to fully develop that allicin antioxidant.
That is one of my favorite tips that Daniela shares in our classes. And it's anything, right, in the onion.
Allium family, yeah.
Garlic,
So onions,
leeks,
garlic.
onions.
The one thing I did learn, though, because we get asked this a lot, is do you still have that antioxidants available if you store the onion or the garlic? And there are Japanese researchers that actually are looking into that, and they found that no, it's best if it's used at that period of time. Yeah, if you store it in oil, it actually you're left with half of it after 3 hours. If you store it in water, interestingly enough, it may last a little bit longer. But so that's just a tip to keep in mind, that if you're using fresh garlic or onions, you get that benefit, but you don't have to worry about it if you don't. Just think of it as a bonus if you're using the fresh garlic or onion. Yeah.
And then, so as we've added the onions, we want to kind of leave them in just till they get a little bit soft, a little more fragrant. Then we're going to add in our Italian seasoning mix. So for us, we just kind of had dried parsley, dried thyme, dried basil, dried oregano, just kind of thrown in. In regards to seasoning, kind of whatever seasonings or flavor profiles you like at home, you can kind of play around with it a little bit. So we just kind of add that in. And I know, Jeremy, you had mentioned before in one of our classes the difference between kind of like our dried herbs versus our fresh herbs. Wanted to add them in for dishes.
Yeah, see, I teach them a few.
Yeah.
Yes, great point. So your dried herbs, dried spices, those essential oils in those ingredients are sort of dormant, right? We want to wake them up a little bit. So adding it to a heat source or a warm fat is going to help to sort of accentuate and sort of express a lot of those essential oils. But dried spices, dried herbs, we're going to add at the beginning. Anything fresh, like in Shima's recipe, with that fresh mint, the fresh cilantro, we can leave to the end to sort of finish the dish. I mean, if you wanted to add like a fresh leaf of basil at this point, sure, but to really sort of maximize that flavor, I would say fresh at the end and then the dried at the beginning. Awesome.
So once we kind of got all that mixed in, we're going to go ahead and add in our spinach. Like I said, we're choosing to use frozen today. You can kind of use fresh, frozen, whatever works. With fresh spinach, in terms of the cook time, you are going to want it to wilt. It's going to look like a larger volume, but as it cooks, it'll reduce in size. Whereas our frozen spinach, because of the moisture content in it, and when you freeze it, the water kind of breaking up the fibers of the cells of the vegetable, it's already going to be a less voluminous product. So we're just going to add that in there.
Beautiful.
So I see you moved the ground turkey over and put the...
Did.
Yeah.
For a second, only because I wanted to show you. So this color at the bottom here, don't be afraid of this color. This is that, what do we call it?
Fond.
The fond, yes. Yes, it listens too. The fond. The fond is that caramelization, all those little bits that come off of turkey or vegetables, any of those caramelized sugars essentially that stick to the bottom of the pan. I'm sure if you've watched any sort of cooking shows, you know that is flavor. That's maximized flavor. We can release that fond by adding some sort of liquid. Kobe added the spinach, the frozen spinach, which is going to start to release some liquid. When we get to the pasta, we'll add a little bit of that pasta water too, which will help to release that flavor. So don't be afraid of that fond, that caramelization.
And then for our pasta today, if you can help me remember the name of this one.
Yes.
A specific one.
Does anyone know? Well, maybe throw it to the audience.
Throw it to the audience.
Yeah.
Shaped kind of like ears.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very close.
Or a chutney.
Yes, very close. Yeah, orecchiette, but yeah, we'll give you the points for that. We'll give you the points for that. Orecchiette, which, do you know what it means?
Ear.
Yeah, like baby ears. Yeah, baby ears. Baby ears. I'll say big ears?
Oh,
Little
ears.
No, big ears. Baby ears.
There we go.
Baby.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned before, you can kind of use any pasta that you have available. This was just the one that we picked up when we went to the grocery store yesterday. But again, penne, any noodle that's kind of accessible. Typically this dish, we use like a dried pasta. If you were to use a fresh homemade pasta, if you have the time available for that, it would change the cook time a little bit. But again, just using a dried pasta here. And then with our TV magic, we already went ahead and boiled some. So we have that. So now that we have everything kind of put together is when we're going to add this in. And everything can just be added right into the one pot. You kind of want to mix everything together. The one thing with this dish, as you'll notice, is it's not a heavy sauced pasta. So familiar with things you see on TV and things you might have cooked in the past, typically you add like a can of pasta sauce. This one, it kind of builds its own sauce, like Jeremy mentioned with the fond. We add a little bit of the pasta water, which, fun fact for those of you who are wondering, the reason we add pasta water, which one of the cool things I learned in school, is when you boil pasta, it's going to release some of its starches and its natural kind of coating that's on it. And what that starch does is it also acts as a thickener. So when you add in that pasta water, not only are you going to add in moisture, but you're also going to create a bit of a thickening agent with everything else that's kind of in the pot or pan. As you can kind of see, Jeremy here, if you want to switch the camera, you can see now that we've added more moisture, that fond we mentioned at the bottom, you can kind of scrape a little bit of it off. and that's going to help add to the overall flavor profile of the dish. So we're just going to kind of mix and incorporate all of that. And then the last thing we're going to add in is our cherry tomatoes, which I know you got a couple more fun facts about that as well.
Yes. Actually, I had some fun facts about both the spinach and the tomatoes, and that's the addition of colorful fruits and vegetables, right? We want to have, when we look at our healthy plate, half the plate is colorful fruits and vegetables, and the color is what's cool, because the color is what is connected to the special plant component that can help reduce development of cancer in our body, right? So in the spinach, we have like ellagic acid, we have lutein, we have vitamin E. In the tomatoes, we have lycopene. How many of you have heard of lycopene? It's been out there quite a bit, yeah. So it's great that you're introducing both colors and also upping the vegetable intake of your plant, of your pasta dish.
Yeah. A couple comments from our chat group watching online. Agreeing with you, Kobe. Someone said, as a child of 5, my mom also resorted to a lot of pasta dishes for us. Yeah. So I think, you can definitely feed a lot. A great way to get in some of those nutrients. And then for Daniela, crush your garlic before to release the power, as with the few hands of emojis and smiley emojis. So
okay, so
they like that one too.
Yeah.
They like that one
they
too.
got it.
Yeah.
They got it. Yeah.
And when it comes to adding vegetables, like Daniela mentioned, in terms of like adding more color to the dish, this is something that very much you can play around with. People in your family, people you're having over, if it has to do with allergies or likeness of certain things. We've chosen spinach and tomatoes. You can throw in broccoli, you can throw in cabbage, anything that's kind of you just want to add in. For anyone who has children, this is a great way to kind of sneak in vegetables. You can distract them with the flavors and the meat and just throw vegetables in. They kind of all wilt in together.
That's right.
Just kind of do all that. So once we've had everything kind of incorporated, we're going to drop our heat. Everything's kind of all mixed in together. The tomatoes. So I like to have my tomatoes just cut in half. I like the nice little freshness, the little punch of like that acidity and the sweetness that comes from cherry tomatoes. So I typically like to add them in at the very end of the dish and then incorporate them in, just so you get that punch of color, flavor. Again, like I mentioned, with mouthfeel and textures.
I know. That was a good move. That was a good move.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So once we have everything incorporated together, give it one last little mix, and then we can kind of plate it all together, and the pasta dish for today.
Beautiful. Do you have the cheese? Now, I love the sort of ease of sort of putting this together. The longest and the hardest part is probably just cooking the pasta, right? Yes. So everything else, using the frozen spinach, using some cherry tomatoes, which quick wash, and you can probably have to cut them up, but if you want to release some more of those juices, you can. And then a protein choice, right? And if you wanted to make this a vegetarian,
you could completely sub out the protein. You could add tofu if you'd like to.
Yeah,
cook it off, come the same way. Same kind of Maillard reaction. Want to get rid of evaporate. Depending if you use more of a firmer tofu versus softer tofu, kind of changes again with the texture. Yeah. But same thing, you can completely swap out the protein source to make this vegetarian as well.
Yeah, how about even some tempeh? We were talking about
tempeh
yesterday.
Yeah, that might work. Yeah. And would give that same crumbly texture feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kobe, what I like about this recipe too, so much to like about this recipe. Like you said, you can swap things out. So for instance, if you are celiac and need to go gluten-free, I noticed that all the ingredients fit except the pasta, awesome. But it's so easy to get gluten-free pasta, so you can just sub that in.
Yeah.
For vegetarian, the tofu is great, the tempeh, but I'm wondering also about cooked beans, whether that might be an option.
Yeah, so beans would also be another great option to add in. I'm going heavy on the cheese here because I'm a really big...
it's okay.
I love cheese.
I'm heavy on cheese too. Yeah. And what cheese is it?
Probably something else you picked up from our class too.
For cheese today, we just went with some fresh Parmigiano Reggiano, and we just grated that. Which one is zoom
in? Yes.
Perfect.
A little lower.
So we just have that here.
Perfect.
Can you smell it? Yeah. Smells good.
Everyone's getting hungry.
I was going to say, and fortunate enough for everyone who's joined us in class today, there will be a sample for all of you guys to taste afterwards. So I guess everyone at home will just have to enjoy the TV magic.
Yeah. We're working on the Uber to bring you food.
Absolutely.
That was great.
That's it. Any questions for the pasta recipe? No? I was just excited to try it. Thank you, Kobe. Awesome. Okay. So,
Moving on, really, I know, I can't believe we're at our last recipe. And our last recipe is an apple oat crumble. It's almost like Kobe knew that apple was one of my favorite.
Yeah.
An apple pie, apple something dessert is my go-to. So
I'm going to invite Shima up as well.
Yes.
Shima started the class, Kobe the second one, and now
both
we're
of them.
I don't think we've had 4 people in one
camera
Yes.
shot.
Shima, come on this side. Come on this side.
Come,
Kobe.
yeah, in the middle.
I'm tired. You can
We'll
help Kobe
bookend
out
you.
now.
Yeah.
Perfect. So for this dessert, which was really fun, I was able to collaborate with Daniela on. I didn't even realize it's actually vegan as well, which is really cool just because it can help cater to a larger group of people. It makes it also more palatable for more different groups and demographics. Ingredients, super simple. With this one, kind of like Shima and Jeremy saw earlier, the measurements, you can play around with them a lot. In the recipes you guys have, we have specific measurements for the one yield size, but you can kind of play around with it based off of the flavors you're looking for, based on the size as well. So what we have here, we have some rolled oats that we have here. Got that here. We have brown sugar, and then we have a little mix of cinnamon and nutmeg. And then we have half a lemon, we're just going to use for juice. And then we have our apples. For the apples, you can kind of play around again with whatever apple you have available. If you go with a green apple, like a Granny Smith, you're going to get a bit more of that tartness. They're more popularized as like a baking apple, so it works really well with this. We have Honey Crisps today.
From Canada.
From Canada.
Also my favorite.
Yeah, so
You do.
kind of play around with whatever works. So we're going to kind of tackle 2 things at once. So to start, Shima, if you want to mix all of our seasonings into the bowl, and then Jeremy will pass you a spoon. For the apples, I like to keep the skins on. It makes it a little bit, again, like I said, with like the mouthfeel, you get a bit more fiber from the apple as well. If you'd like to peel it, you can. It's just an extra step. The main focus is just trying to keep this very quick, very simple, very easy. Do you have any tips and
Sure,
stuff
yeah,
like that?
actually, yeah, we were talking about apples and oats and cancer risk reduction guidelines. So fiber, increasing our fiber in the diet is something else for us to consider. And for women, we want to try to get to about 25 grams of fiber per day, men 38. So using the apples and the oats together, both are going to up the fiber in this dish and get us closer to meeting our needs. Yeah.
Awesome. So you can see here, Shima's just mixing everything together. In terms of mixing it, you just want to incorporate it as much as possible. The brown sugar, the cinnamon, the nutmeg. If anyone's familiar with any of the other baking spices, I know in class we use a lot of like the Chinese 5 spices or the garam masala.
What are the Chinese 5?
Yeah, I know garam masala, but
Anise?
Yeah, the anise in there.
Yeah.
anise. Okay.
Probably have
Coriander, star anise.
Cardamom.
I
think a
think
little bit.
cardamom, a little bit of 5 spice.
I think there's a little bit.
Yeah, it is very heavy on the star anise, the Chinese 5 spice. Really, really nice. The garam masala, which you mentioned as well.
Yeah, that's not what we use a lot.
Something we use a lot in our classes. It has a lot of those familiar baking spices. Not so heavy on the star anise, more cumin, cinnamon, cardamom, ginger. Just really, really nice sort of aromatic. We call them sort of warming spices. So not spice in terms of heat spice, but that sort of warmth. When you think of like cinnamon, when you make like an apple crumble or an apple pie, that cinnamon, that warmth it brings, very, very similar flavor profile.
Question for you, I suppose you're avoiding fats in this one.
Not yet.
Not entirely. There's a small, tiny little fat component just to kind of add to nutritional. It's more so for, again, with like the mouthfeel and bringing things together at the very, very end right before we bake it. So we will touch on that. It's a good point there. So with the apple, very simple. We just want to cut it in half. Oops, it's got a nice little tough core. There we go. And when we cut this, typically, like I said, we keep the skin on. I like to do it in as little cuts as possible. So you'll kind of see as I cut it in half, cut it into quarters. The trick that I kind of like to use if you're not very comfortable with the knife, some people will kind of turn them vertical to cut the core. But if you want to make it a little bit easier for yourself, keep that claw method. You just come in on a little 45-degree angle. You can kind of get whatever residual core pieces are in there. And then when we're cutting this, the thickness will determine the cook time. So typically this will take about 15 minutes to 20 minutes to bake. If you cut them a little bit thicker, then it will take another extra 5 to 10 minutes. If you cut it extra thin, you can kind of speed it up the same way. So what I like to do is to keep it as flat as possible. I usually go about halfway, and then I'll give it a little turn, just because I know the flattest piece of my apple is at the bottom there. And then, fantastic.
Perfect
Your
time.
attention, please. Jason Harris, please return to Nuclear Medicine, first floor, Tinley. Jason Harris, please return to
Speak over quickly.
Nuclear
Yeah.
Medicine, first
To
floor.
mention, again, to reiterate what Kobe just said, the flattest part
Please
of your
return to
apple
Nuclear
is
Medicine,
facing down.
first
Okay?
floor, Tinley.
I think we're good.
There we
Okay,
go.
we're good.
Okay. So the flattest part, and that's a good rule of thumb for anytime you're cutting your vegetables, your fruits, is have the flattest part down so that it is not rolling around on you.
Yes.
Especially if you're not super comfortable with your knife.
Yeah, so same thing, I'll cut, I'll turn it around, keep that flattest part on the cutting board, and we just want to get as much as we can out of it, so by
There's a
cutting the board.
question. We have a question.
I noticed somebody using the skin of the apple,
Mhm.
and I just want to know how you wash it and just waxes and all.
Yes, so for us, there's kind of two methods I've kind of seen around with washing. What we were taught in school, first thing, peel off that sticker. We wash just warm water and soap. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of things with like soap, soaking them. I find that works a lot more with berries as to something like an apple, just because it's not as porous. So it's kind of scrubbing off a little bit of the wax.
I'm going to jump in for a second. Yeah, so
Yeah.
very close. So we don't use soap at all. And the recommendation with Health Canada is just cool
Running
running
water.
Yeah. So
So
you don't
want-
have to add anything at all. The one thing that I think Kobe was going to mention too is if you have something that has like nooks and crannies, like a lot of like your root vegetables, then even like something abrasive, like a little scrubber, they have those nice little bristled ones just to get into those nooks and crannies to get some of that. So that could help. Otherwise, just cold running water is all you need.
Those little scrub ones are really good because
Yeah.
you can just they're tiny but they're great just for your vegetables and fruit. Yeah.
Awesome, and then just gonna grab here.
I like that you're keeping the skins on because that's giving us a little bit more fiber.
Yes. And then, so we're just going to take these, and with the apples, the only thing we're just adding to them very briefly is that lemon juice. And so the lemon is going to help do two things. It's going to help amplify the natural sweetness of the apples, but also it's going to help with the oxidization. So as you're cooking, I'm fortunate enough that I have a little team up here. As you're working, if you're by yourself, you'll notice that apples, happens with potatoes as well, they start to brown as they oxidize. So the lemon juice is going to kind of help prevent that from happening. Just as Daniela mentioned too, part of eating is you want the food to look good, look appealing. And I know when things start to brown, it's usually not as appealing to other people. So we kind of do the same thing here. And we just want to add a little bit of lemon juice.
And I see this technique, and I'm going to start doing it too, where you actually put your hand underneath the lemon
Yes.
to grab the seeds. But again, also my hands aren't as strong, so the other way you can also use like a fork,
Yeah.
is it? To kind of
Yes,
loosen
fork.
it up a little bit,
Yeah.
and then.
Or if you have one of the actual juicers, you have that as well. So we're just,
Citrus press
Yeah.
there, yeah.
so we're just going to lightly mix these up, just so they're all kind of a little bit coated in the lemon juice.
It also smells nice and fresh now. I don't know if you can smell the lemon yet. Over
And
there.
then the last thing we're going to do is assemble it all together. Jeremy is a big fan and a big user of parchment paper.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe a little too much.
Maybe a little too much.
Well, yeah.
So for this dish, to make it a little bit easier, we're going to line a pan with some parchment. In regards to preparing this, if you have like a cake pan, like a bread loaf pan, kind of whatever you have at home in terms of size works completely fine, because we're just going to kind of layer the apples as flat as possible. It's okay if you kind of layer it up as well. I'm just going to make it a nice thicker little crumble. So with the parchment paper, the one trick that Jeremy showed us is to get it to be more malleable and more softer. Use it when you're doing with like a dish. We're using a pan today that's rounded. You're gonna want to crumple it up, and you're also gonna want to put it under running water for a little bit.
So what I love about this recipe is Kobe's just using a pan. You can use a baking dish. You can use like a proper like pie pan, tart pan, but anything that is oven safe will work for this. And that little technique, so like running it, crumpling it up under water, and then I love it. So it can tuck in much easier versus if you had just a flat sheet of parchment. This is really to save you from having to clean up
the pan after.
I've been using this technique a lot.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of our favorites. Maybe a little reason why I love parchment so much.
Yeah.
Not so much on the cleanup.
Yeah. And then the last couple steps here. So we have our parchment. Like I said, with the apples, you just want to kind of layer it. If you're more into baking, into that art style, you can kind of layer it and make it a pretty little design. But like I said, the goal here is you just want to kind of put them all around, lay them as flat as possible. I'm just gonna angle the pan here for a second.
Here we go, we're getting
There
a
we go.
close-up shot.
So we got it like that. It's okay if there's some overlap. The main thing is you want to cover up as much of that surface area on the bottom of the parchment and pan.
So the cool thing about this as well is we have a power couple here. So those of you that have been in any of our classes with Jeremy, we have power couples with food. So oats actually have some iron in them. And the iron in plant foods we know isn't absorbed as easily by the body. But if you pair it with a food that has vitamin C in it, then you're going to absorb more of the iron from the oats. So the apple has vitamin C plus the lemon juice, so that's a wonderful pairing, power couple in this dish.
So we have that all kind of lined. Like I mentioned earlier, just kind of spread it out as much as you can. And then the crumble that Shima made, we have everything mixed in. So we had one question earlier about the fat. So here Shima's adding in some olive oil. And you can sub this for any type of oil. If you have butter, we would just suggest melting it first. And then you can add it in as well. And what that's going to do is it's going to help bind all of the crumble together. So that way when we layer it, instead of it kind of falling apart, it's going to kind of start to melt and kind of hold together. So you get a nice crust on top of everything. So we see that here. And then you're just going to kind of want to mix it in, spread it generously. When it comes to pouring this out, the goal is just to cover the apples as much as possible.
Now, what I love, Danielle, you mentioned oats, great whole grain choice.
Great whole grain. Also, you can get, it's a gluten-free option, but when it comes to oats, you want to, it doesn't contain any gluten in it, but it can be contaminated from if it's grown somewhere close to other grains. So you can find gluten-free oats, and they're a great option as well.
And so I'm getting that whole grain with this, but this is also so much easier than having to fuss with like a pie crust.
Yes.
Right. True.
And the apples too, Kobe. I mean, you can sub that with a lot of fruits. Really.
Yeah, majority of fruit, same thing. You just cut it thin. When they are in season, peaches are another good option. High moisture content. The cook time will be reduced a little bit because they're not as fibrous, they're not as solid as an apple, but that's another thing you can use. So again, whatever fruit you want to sub for, you can do the same thing. And then as we kind of see here, just so the camera can see and everyone here can see, we have all the apples just fully covered. And then my favorite part of being here is our TV magic, because I'm going to throw this bad boy behind us.
So Shima and Kobe don't get TV magic at school, but here they do have the advantage of TV magic.
Perfect. And with the TV magic, we already had one baking away. And so just going to angle this here so everyone can see. So same thing, we had it completely covered. You can see some spots where we have the oil, where it's a little bit darker and more clumped together. That's kind of what the oil was doing as it kind of melted, kind of formulated everything together. And so what I like about this is, like Jeremy mentioned, it's a lot simpler than a pie, having to fuss with a pie crust. And what's really cool about this, you can serve it in a bowl, serve it in a plate, and you kind of just portion size it out as you'd like. The apples, we'll get a little zoom in here. They did a great job with that lemon juice as well, breaking down and getting really nice and soft. So you kind of get a poached effect from the moisture that's evaporating because the oats will help kind of trap it in.
Can you smell that?
It smells like they're smelling.
And then for those of you who are here in person with us, we have a very lucky surprise. So our little crew here, we were working away. Whenever I have this at home, I'm so used to having it with ice cream. That's my kind of go thing, a la mode. And Jeremy, being the creative man that he is, decided, hey, we're going to have an ice cream component. But we also work with a dietitian, so we thought, hey, well, let's just not add in a big heaping bowl of cream and sugar. So we actually made an apple cinnamon infused ice cream that is super simple. It was just soy milk, some apples that were soaked in lemon juice. For this, we did peel them, just so we didn't have the skins in it as well. You freeze the apples overnight, take them out. We just threw them in a blender. So you go apple chunks that have been peeled with some lemon juice, some soy milk, and we added a little bit of cinnamon, and we just blended it till we got the texture we were looking for. And that, so it doesn't slide off there. And that is our finished apple crumble a la mode with some apple ice cream.
Well done. Oh, go back. Okay, sorry.
I
stole the remote.
I know. I was going to thank you, Kobe. Thank you, Shima. Incredible recipes. This is their last day of their externship, and they did an amazing job. So thank you again. Thank you for the recipe. Shima, what was the name of your recipe again? Because we're all
Zeytun parade.
Zeytun parade, which you're all going to get to try. So excited. And then from Kobe, we had the turkey
Tomato spinach pasta.
Turkey tomato spinach pasta, and this really nice spiced apple crumble. The recipes. If you're here, you have the recipes, so you have a little advantage. If you're watching at home, the recipes will be posted online. Probably by tomorrow, you can check the website with links to the videos from today's class if you did want to watch it again. But again, thanks everyone for joining us here. Thanks everyone for joining us online. Thank you to Kobe. Thank you to Shima.
It's been amazing having the two students here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thanks again. Reminder, we are doing this every third Thursday of the month. Next class in May. The date escapes me, but you know what? You can just check out the YouTube channel.
Third Thursday of the month.
Third Thursday, always 12 to 1. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel, which we really appreciate, it gives you, and click the notification bell, it lets you know anytime we have an upcoming class. So stay tuned. But otherwise, thanks everyone. Happy cooking. Thank you guys.
Thank you.